Hello, and again, welcome to another Mage Tower Challenge Guide. This time, we're doing the Xylem Challenge. There's a poll on this video about which class I should do next. Be sure to let me know. The Xylem Challenge is interesting amongst the DPS challenges, as the only one with an opportunity to swap gear and talents at what is essentially the halfway point. You can get by using the same talents and gear should you wish, but it's important to know that you can adapt. The overall encounter is in two distinct parts, the fight with Xylem coming first. Xylem himself has 3 phases that I'll cover now. For phase 1, we have the Frost phase. Here, Xylem just repeatedly casts Frostbolt on you, punctuating every few with a ring of Razor Eyes and a Blizzard. You may feel tempted to use your anti-magic shell here, but absolutely do not. You will be needing it for the next phase. You will want to stagger your methods of breaking out of the Razor Eyes. For example, as it's the first time he casts it on you, you can use your artifact ability to break out, then for second you might use Remorseless Winter coupled with a Howling Blast, or if you choose the Frost Scythe talent I'll cover later, you can use that to get out. Once you're out, grip Xylem to you and continue. Don't bother running around the laser beams, just grip him to you. If there's anything in this encounter you're going to have trouble with, it'll be phase 2, the Arcane phase. Xylem will teleport from one end of the encounter to the other, and a number of mirror images will spawn. You will have all of about 1 second to identify the closest one to you. Before the room starts dealing damage, you will not survive for long. Kill the mirror image and a bubble will appear. You are safe in the bubble, and the bubble heals you. However, said bubble gets smaller, and smaller, and smaller. This is your window to identify where the real Xylem is, signalled by a big, large, shimmering, swirly area. If your anti-magic shell is up, which it should be, pop it and wraith walk over and make a beeline for it. The moment you make contact with it, the phase will end, and Xylem will move to phase 3. Phase 3 is Xylem's Shadow phase. To begin with, he starts a channel where shadow orbs spawn and travel across the room. These only spawn in a reasonably small area, so it's possible to wait outside it and just wait until it's done, but that's hardly efficient. These orbs spawn either in line with Xylem or behind him, so what you should do is stand in front of him and continue to damage him while strafing left to right. They don't move particularly fast, it's not too hard to dodge them. Unless they spawn directly on top of him and you can't see them, and then they kill you. You can get around this by just leaving a bit of space between Xylem and you. Once he's done with that, he will cast Arcane Blast, which does moderate damage, but save your interrupt. The interrupts are for a channel he will do where he draws power from the focusing iris. This increases his damage and should not be allowed to happen under any circumstance. When this phase ends, he will begin again from the Frost phase. You should expect to deal with perhaps 2 full 3-phase cycles. Bringing Xylem to 10% will trigger the second half of the encounter. He's only the opening act. Here you drop combat, so use this time to swap your gear and talents. A big Void Lord shows up and begins the next fight. Stand against the wall and bring him over to you, either with a Death Grip or just a Howling Blast. This Void creature drops ever-increasing puddles that slow and do enormous ticking damage. By bringing him to the wall, you will help maximize the amount of room you have later. Very, very slowly, kite him around the circumference of the room. Being circular and all that. You can see where the puddle is reaching, just stand to the utmost edge of it, and very slowly bring him around. He will begin to channel a spell into you. Do not interrupt this. What you need to do is a 180 and just run as far as you can, as fast as you can. When the channel ends, he spawns 3 adds at your location. This is why you do not interrupt him. These adds need to die. They will attempt to reach the main boss, and if they do, they heal him. Remorseless Winter, Frost Scythe, the Syndragosa ability, use whatever you have available to kill them. Just don't use everything at once. You will need to deal with these buggers likely another 2 times. Rinse and repeat until the big guy dies. Now to cover your talents. Unlike a lot of the other challenges, there doesn't seem to be any one particular talent build that is overwhelmingly more useful than the others. You can mix and match almost any playstyle here, but I'll cover what I feel to be the best setup. Remember, you do drop combat between the Xylem and Void parts of the encounter, so feel free to switch it up. Row 56. Shattering Strikes or Runic Attenuation. Icy Talons is something extra to worry about, so I don't bother. Runic Attenuation is a passive pick and forget talent which suits me just fine. Shattering Strikes does have some synergy with a talent further down. Row 57. I take Freezing Fog for the Xylem half, being the most useful, especially for the Razor Ice Rings. I didn't have any talent changes with me in my kill video, but for the Void half, if I had the option, I'd take Murderous Efficiency. Row 58. Ice Cap if your crit rating is high and you can make good use of it, alternatively, Avalanche. The extra damage from Avalanche helps with the adds in the Void phase in particular. Row 60. Blinding Sleet can be used as a second interrupt on either Xylem or the Void adds, but I took Winter is Coming because Blinding Sleet breaks on damage. Row 75. Volatile Shielding or Permafrost. I took Volatile Shielding, but in hindsight I'd probably take Permafrost, as you are not using your anti-magic shell for magic damage reduction or runic power generation. Row 90. Frost Scythe or Gathering Storm. Gathering Storm buffs your Remorseless Winter, so I'd take that first off. Frost Scythe is useful for breaking out of the Razor Ice Rings, but with the Soul of the Deathlord legendary, so you can have both, which is very nice. Row 100. Obliteration or Hungering Rune Web. Breath of Sindragosa could potentially find use in the Void phase, but with how often you are away from enemies in this fight, I can't recommend it. My personal pick here is Obliteration, especially for the Void phase. There are a number of legendaries here I can cover, so I'm going to split them into two and then do them very quickly. Legendaries for Xylem, legendaries for Voidbro. Xylem legendaries. Agrimar's Stride. DK mobility is slower than Molasses, so you will appreciate the speed increase. Pridaz. The shield is always useful and can help you stay alive and salvage any mistakes you make. Cephus can see situational use with the Mirror phase. The images can be interrupted and proc the speed increase. If anti-magic shell is on cooldown, this will help you get from bubble to bubble. Soul of the Deathlord, my personal favourite, gives you Gathering Storm, freeing you up to take Frost Scythe as well. Voidbro legendaries. The Archerist Drapes buffs your anti-magic shell and causes anything it absorbs to heal you. In the Xylem phase, the mirror images once killed, their little bubbles can be used to heal you. Yeah, so this is useful here. Koltira's Newfound Will buffs Obliterate and leads to a lot of damage when you're trying to kill the Voidlord quickly, and Torovan's Whiteout Bindings. Extra damage while Pillar of Frost is up, I think speaks for itself. Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish can see use in both phases, for killing the Razor Ice and killing the Void adds respectively. A few tips that might help you. As I've mentioned previously, you drop combat midway and can swap gear and talents, so make note of how much health Xylem has. His transition into the Void phase is at 10%, so if he's on 15% or lower, don't be using your long cooldowns. In the Frost phase, once you are out of the Ice Ring, they do not immediately despawn. Throwing a Howling Blast on them, and as they continue to die, you will get the Killing Blow Death Strike procs for extra healing. Bear Tartar is your friend. This will give you a speed buff whenever you kill an enemy, like the Razor Ice, Mirror Image, or Void adds. The Void adds can be gripped, as can the large boss. If an ad goes in the puddle and you can't chase them, grip them. Anti-Magic Shell prevents the application of the slow from both Xylem's Mirror phase, as well as the puddles in Void phase. If an ad is particularly low on health, you can use Anti-Magic Shell to chase them for a short period. Just remember to be out of the pool when it finishes. In the Xylem half of the encounter, the beams coming out from the focusing iris actually push you around. When you're in your Anti-Magic Shell, these will actually push you faster than what your Wraithwalk does. You can ride along these beams to get to Xylem quicker. In the void half of the encounter, the area in which you have to kill the little lads gets smaller and smaller with each time. Save your big cooldowns, your heavy hitters like your Syndragosa ability, for when you need to do a lot of damage quicker and you don't have as much time. Remember that your Icebound Fortitude is more than just a defensive cooldown. It can also be used to increase the healing of your Death Strike. Popping Icebound Fortitude and then a Death Strike can bring you back from the brink of death. Once you have the base appearance, you can earn 3 more so long as you have one of the tints active at the time you do it. One for killing Heroic Kil'jaeden in the Tomb of Sargeras, killing each of the Legion dungeon bosses, or for winning 10 rated battlegrounds. The hardest one to get here is the rated battlegrounds. Just try and search for YOLO groups, or better yet, start one of your own. The recolors can be earned post-Legion, but you will need to have earned the base skin during Legion since it will not be available after. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you find it helpful. If you did, let me know and perhaps throw me a like, subscribe, and answer my poll as to which class I should be doing next. All of one person answered my previous poll, so look forward to my next video, the Affliction Warlock, without the slow ring. Leave any feedback you have in the comments so I know what to improve in my next video. Until then, sayonara.